Dietrich here.
Waldera here.
Adam's here.
Sorry.
I would also entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the April 4th meeting. Has everybody had a chance to read them?
I would make the motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. I'll have a few minutes for public comment. The phone number is 715-538-1894. And Lori, if you want to talk about the
Sure. Yes, we are having a Little Heroes Weekend. It's going to be the 19th, 20th, and 21st. Most of the goings on, the fundraising part will be on the 20th. So we can use baskets for that type of thing, anything to raffle off. All that money goes to the K-9 program, which is pretty awesome. So
cool.
and their drug program. Can't hear me.
Oh, your
Turn this little
microphone.
thing on, huh?
Sorry. I think it's still not on yet. There it is. Nope, now it's off. Nope. There you go.
Okay, all righty. So, Heroes Weekend is May 19th, 20th, and 21st. It's at Champions Riverside Resort. We allow free camping for any military person, anybody on the fire department, anybody that is a hero, and that can pretty much fall up into anybody.
Does
So
that include military veterans and retired firefighters? or
it
active?
does. It
Well,
does.
on the fire side, and if we can connect all, that'd be cool.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yep. So we have free camping for all of those folks, and we'd love any of you guys to come. You're more than welcome. The public is definitely invited, and the K-9 program puts on a little show with the dogs, and that's really kind of awesome. And the sheriff talks about the drug program and that kind of thing, what's available in the community and all those types of things. This will be the third year that we've done it. Last year, I think we raised about $10,000, so we're hoping to do that same amount this year, if at all possible. And you guys can help with bringing baskets, coming to help, support it, anything that you can do. And the public is definitely welcome to bring baskets and help support.
Lori, remind me when that is?
It's May 19th, 20th, and 21st. So the 20th is the actual fundraising day, or the biggest fundraising day, I would say.
And Friday night's the fish fry.
Yep, Friday night they do a big fish fry, and
They turn me on.
yeah. So yeah, Gilbert Brown will be there, and Craig Newsom. So they'll have a little celebrity flavor to it. Sure.
Gilbert Brown is really involved in this, right?
He is.
It's the his foundation.
Yeah, so basically, one of the things that we do with the foundation is you have to have a, you can pass those around and take them if you want. You have to have a raffle license, obviously, for everything that you do, and the foundation is a 501c3, and they have a raffle license. So we pass the funds through the foundation, and it goes back to the K-9 program. So it is one of the many 156 programs that Gilbert's Foundation supports.
Cool. In case people forgot, Gilbert Brown is a former Green Bay Packer who we loved.
Yes, the grave digger. Yeah.
What?
The grave digger.
Yes, and we loved him.
I'll be
still
happy
love
to
him.
tell them that. You have one fan in Whitehall. No.
I do love him.
I've heard that. I have not seen the play.
Somewhere in that it was not pretty.
I remember once he was limping off the field for some reason, and his mother gave him crap and told him, "You stand up tall and you walk off, even if you hurt." Anyway.
Oh yeah.
You're the top mom.
Mama's got a lot of things to say. I'll tell you. Gilbert's sister Carla has worked for me for about 7 years.
Oh, cool.
And so her and Mama actually live on the property. So Mama has a lot of advice, and everyone listens.
Good.
Lori, is this always on the weekend before Memorial Day weekend?
It is. It's always on that Heroes Weekend. That's Armed Forces Day.
Oh, is it? Okay, I didn't realize.
So it's always on that day, and almost every campground in Wisconsin does something for the heroes in the military and that kind of thing. Some of them go from the paramedics to, whatever. So every campground can kind of come up with their own thing for that weekend. We've always chosen to donate the money to this, and it works out really good. A lot of people come out and do it, that's for sure.
Does anybody from the TV station film it?
They don't.
We should maybe get, I know George Brand has been doing some stuff for the TV station. We should get him and,
Be wonderful.
yeah, out there to do that. I'll talk to them before we go.
Yep, and if you guys, you know, everybody knows somebody, so if you know somebody that has a business is willing to donate something, or if you can put a basket together, that would be just great.
Awesome. You can just donate too if you show up.
You sure can, yep, for sure. And they'll have a chicken dinner there, so there's other ways you can donate, get a T-shirt, that kind of thing.
So if we were to create a basket at this point, people could just bring it to the campsite?
Yep, you could just
or-
bring it to any time before that date. Would work, yep.
Okay. Another quick announcement, tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock at Alevistrom High School is the open house for Cardinal Manufacturing. So if you're in the mood to see some amazing kids and an amazing program at the high school, stop in. TV station will be there, yay. Thank you guys for coming. Yes?
I'm going to go back to the Heroes Weekend, since that's something that's supporting, you know, the Sheriff's Department, and I guess it doesn't really matter, whatever it would be supporting. I wonder, would there be something that this team could put together, like a gift certificate to Petrick Park for a weekend of camping, or something, and you know, probably be more than that, but as a way of promoting that area?
Sure.
Sure. In the past, for our land and water conservation, we've put together like a campground package with s'mores ingredients and stuff like that. So we could do that.
I think that would be cool. I'd be happy to contribute to that.
Yeah, me too. It would be fun.
Okay. Basket it is.
I'll bring you some s'mores ingredients.
Okay.
And actually, one year Forrest and I made a basket for the conservation thing, and we, along with the basket, we had 2 thermal mugs that went in, so that would be fun too to add to the basket. Just bring it to your office?
Sure.
Okay. Yay. Go team.
Do you have any Trempealeau County, those T-shirts or anything like
The park t-shirts?
Not that I'm aware of. I think all those are gone. I'm pretty sure.
We do have coffee mugs.
We do have the new coffee mugs in though.
Are they just like the old ones?
Similar
I love the old
shapes
ones.
and sizes, but
Okay.
different colors.
Okay. Are you gonna get some more t-shirts?
We were not
With the
planning on
new
it,
logo?
but we certainly could.
I think we should.
I agree.
We'll
Add
we'll
Add
get some
that to your
t-shirts.
list
We'll add
of
to the list.
to-do
We'll get
things.
some T-shirts coming.
You guys just hate coming to these meetings.
And actually, those t-shirts, they're the best. Whoever made the bright blue ones and that, I mean, it's soft material. They're very, very nice. So if you do it, go to the same company.
We will take a look for sure.
You don't
Okay.
need a motion for that or anything, do we?
I don't think so.
Shouldn't know.
People love t-shirts and sweatshirts. Any other comments? Nope. Okay. I will close public comment at 8:41. And I will turn to item number 7, Economic Development and Tourism Manager Report.
Thanks, Jeannie, and Supervisor Wilder. We love coming to these meetings. We really do. It's our opportunity to share with you what we're working on, and we always appreciate the new ideas, even if it's some work for us. So, just wanted to say that. I'm going to try and keep this report short because I think we are aiming to get out of here in an hour so that you can all go out to Petrick Park. I will not be joining you at Petrick Park because of my limited mobility. A few of the things that I've been working on in the last month, the broadband internet planning grant, the BEAD grant. I did submit the application that was required for that. It's kind of a two-step process, so if you're confused, let me take a step back here. Initially, we, as a county, had to express our intent to opt in to this BEAD planning grant program. That was so that they could determine how many counties and tribal units were going to be applying, and so that they could determine the allocation for each, and ours ended up being 18,833. And then the second step was actually to apply for the grant through the Public Service Commission's grant portal, which I did. Before actually filling out the application and submitting it, though, I did have a meeting that I convened with Pepin County and Buffalo County to discuss whether or not there were some ways that we could all work together to maybe leverage our individual allocations, and they're all 18,000, whatever it was. And that meeting was held, I think 2 weeks ago, and actually both counties were very interested and appreciative of the thought of bringing them all together. So we all submitted our individual applications, but in our sort of work plan, which needed to include 3 objectives, preliminary, we all mentioned that we were going to be working together. What form exactly that's going to take remains to be seen. But my thought on having us come together was that some of the work with this broadband mapping and surveying and stuff was probably something that we're going to need to go outside for to a consultant. And if a consultant is doing one county, they might as well do 3. We're all pretty small. They're going to be tapping the same resources to do some of that work, and I just think that there's a lot of good things that can come out of that. So I did include in that meeting UW Extension, Pat Malone, and then John, the new head of the Mississippi River Regional Planning Commission, too. So that's how we're planning on moving forward. We have to come up with a more detailed budget by June or July, I believe. So in the next month, the 3 counties will be having a discussion about things and, you know, maybe looking to see if there's somebody out there that could help with that. So that's that. Any questions on the broadband
No,
grant?
thank you for your work on that.
Yeah, you bet.
I appreciate that.
Did you get any, what was the input of MRPC on that?
Well, John was very willing to help. And I kind of asked what kind of help he thought he could provide, and he wasn't totally clear on that.
Well, I guess I'm on that board.
Yeah.
So I guess if you want something pushed through the board.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I think that there may be some things that MRRPC could do for us. After all, they do have planners on staff. The question is going to be sort of twofold. Like, 1, do they have time? And 2, do they have the expertise to do what we want? And I can't answer that question because we need to have more discussion about exactly what we're going to want.
You should keep them engaged, though.
Yep. Yep, he's,
But we haven't had, put an ask out to that commission recently so much, so.
yep. Well, he initiated, he reached out to me to ask if we needed some help, and I said, well, we're going to be having this meeting with UW Extension and the other 2 counties, so I invited him, and we'll just see where it leads. So that actually turned out the easy grant to write in the last month. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but I did work with Reed to complete a Land and Water Conservation Fund grant to see if we could get some funding for the rec pond out at Petrick Park, so more on that in a bit. I did have some contact from the City of Arcadia, somebody on their Economic Development Committee asking if, you know, I could assist with, there's some interest, renewed interest, I think, in doing something with their downtown. Not exactly clear what that is, but it seems like they want to come up with a plan to, you know, maybe do something with vacant buildings or have a plan when buildings do become vacant for folks to be able to open a business there and so on. And I did mention to that person that at least as recently as last fall still, they are a Connect Communities community through WEDC, which that program provides a lot of resources for exactly that kind of thing. But they and the city of Whitehall, which is also a Connect Communities community, which is kind of Main Street Light, if you've heard of the Main Street program. This is for communities that are smaller and don't have money for a full-time director. That's Connect Communities. But both of those, Whitehall and Arcadia, were both behind in some reporting and some participation activities, and were in danger of getting bounced from the program. And I don't know if they're still in or not. So that's, I offered whatever assistance I could. Flooding, I'm going to say that I had an interesting conversation. I was down at the Trempealeau Hotel last Friday night, and Amy, the owner there, You know, I asked her how business was going. She said business was pretty good, but that they honestly, you know, were answering a lot of questions from people about like, oh my gosh, are you open because of the flooding and all this stuff? And of course, you know, the village itself there sits on high ground. It would be a apocalyptic type flood that would impact those businesses. But, you know, nonetheless, point taken, there's, you know, a lot of stuff out there on social media, and people see, you know, things underwater down below the dam there. So it's just something that, you know, was kind of an eye-opener for me that, you know, I probably will push something out this week on our Facebook sites and stuff like that saying, you know, despite flooding, you know, our communities are open and whatever, so people don't think, oh, Mississippi River, I'm not going near there.
Right, some people were worried about Galesville, and I said not, you know,
Oh, my God.
it's pretty high up.
Yeah, it would be a biblical flood. Yeah, we're all in trouble then. But the only other thing about flooding is I'm just going to monitor to see what comes out of that in terms of disaster declarations. I suppose there could be, you know, the governor could be asking for a federal disaster declaration. And given that this is the worst flooding in 20-plus years, I think that's probably a good possibility. And when those disaster declarations come down, typically there's opportunities to tap into some Economic Development Administration, EDA funds on the federal level. And those get used to help businesses that were impacted. But oftentimes there's money that's available just for use in the region in general. It doesn't have to specifically be a business. So we'll stay tuned on that and see if there's any opportunities.
I thought the governor had actually already declared
And he
a
might
public
have.
emergency for or I don't know if that's the right terminology, but I'm pretty sure that happened already a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and of course the federal disaster declaration is what would open up the possibility for those EDA funds.
So I'm not sure if there's a level there that goes from like state to federal then, or how that works exactly.
Yeah, the governor's request of the federal government, of the president, to a disaster declaration.
Okay, well, a request of some sort was already made related
Yep.
to flooding, but I don't
Yep.
know exactly what the details were.
So we'll continue to monitor that and see if EDA makes any money available because of that. That's
Good,
it.
I'm good. Okay, you're done?
Yep.
Wow, that was good. Number 8, Parks and Conservation Specialist update, which I believe would be you, Mr.
That's me,
Reed.
yep. Like Dave said, we're going to try to, keep the meeting within the hour so we can get out to the park. I just have a few updates here about what I've been up to since the last meeting. The water at the park is actually being turned on today. Had a fair number of people actually staying at the park prior to this and asking about the water, but with the recent weather we've had, obviously we've refrained from turning it on till now. So that's just an update on the park. The 2 park caretakers, they're working now and they're in the process of cleaning up after winter. Fair number of trees down, probably from that most recent storm actually. But that's, just a lot of cleanup to do from over the winter.
Is it Mark and Mark again?
It is, yep.
Good.
Mm-hmm. And they should be, they're planning on being out there with us today, so
Okay.
when we head out there. Snowmobile season, we're kind of wrapping up, obviously, the entries and the, that come into me from the clubs, as, farmers and whatnot are getting out into their fields, so the trail signs and everything are being taken down. Now we're kind of gearing up towards wrapping up all the financial sides of it and getting all that done because the fiscal year for the snowmobile season is July 1st to June 30th. So going to get everything squared away here over the next month or so. Also did apply for a couple of grants that were due April 15th. One was for a bridge, another one was for a new culvert replacement on the trail system. So those are all in and just waiting on results of those. We did receive a grant for a bridge last year that will be going in this fall, so working on the permits for that. Just north of Whitehall here, up off of Whithill Road. The trail runs through there, so we'll be, bidding that out midsummer and just getting the permits and all that type of thing done now. Have not been down to the lots recently for obvious reasons. I don't know if any of you saw the
Wear your
pictures.
high water pants
Yeah, if
out
any of you
there.
saw the pictures of Hungry Point down there, I mean, it's well above the halfway point of the
Yeah.
door. So, you know, it's, yeah, right. No, I'm sure not. So, no update there. And then we mentioned the mugs. We have those for sale right now. I've put it out there in a few places for advertising. So, if, you know, anybody knows anybody that's interested or whatnot, feel free to have them come by the courthouse and pick a couple up. So,
How much are they?
$20 a piece.
Okay.
So, does anybody have any other questions about this agenda item?
I promise not to speak.
No. Well, you certainly can, Don.
Why?
Because
I
you're
love it.
keeping this meeting short.
Oh, I love it when you talk. You ask really good probing questions, so. Feel free to speak, Don. That's it?
That's it for now.
Okay, thank you. Don't forget the sweatshirts and t-shirts.
Sure. With the new logo.
Yes,
You bet.
I agree.
it'll be cool. Number 9, resolution authorizing DNR grant application.
I'll take this one.
Okay,
So as alluded to, we did submit a grant application. It was due yesterday for the Land and Water Conservation Fund through DNR, and the grant request was for $118,000 of matching funds to help us build the rec pond at Petrick Park. And as we got into working on the application a few weeks back, we realized that there was a authorizing resolution that was required from the county for us to apply. So obviously, we missed the window for getting that on PTED before now and county board. But we talked with DNR, and they said as long as we had a resolution and gave them the dates that the committees would be acting on it, that would be sufficient.
so we can do that today, right?
So we can do that today. So in your packet was a copy of 2 documents. One is a standard county resolution, and I'll read that in just a minute. And then that county resolution in the last resolve clause refers to a grant project resolution standard authorizing form from DNR that then lists who is authorized to sign and submit the application from the county, who's authorized to enter into the agreement, et cetera. So it's kind of a 2-step process. I'll read the resolution just so that we have a record of it publicly on the video. It has no resolution number at this point. Resolution authorizing the application for grant funds by the Department of Land Management. Whereas construction of a recreational pond has been identified and included in the recently completed master plan for Joe Petrick Jr. Memorial Park. And whereas the Parks, Tourism, and Economic Development Committee has adopted this master plan after extensive public outreach and input, and whereas creation of a rec pond at Petrick Park would create a number of new rec activities for park users, and whereas the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources has funds available through the Land Water Conservation Fund, which could be used to assist in this project on a matching basis, now be it resolved that park staff in the Department of Land Management are authorized to apply for the grant and execute grant documents and sign other documentation as requested by DNR should the grant request be approved, and that the county board chair shall be authorized to sign the attached DNR standard authorizing resolution. So that's presented for your consideration.
And
We would need a motion and a second.
Okay, I'd make a motion to approve this resolution. Okay, all in favor?
May I ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
So the resolution itself to me is fine. I'm looking at the standard resolution though, that the grant project resolution. And I just want to clarify, because as I understand it, approving this resolution that you just read into record is approving this document as well.
Correct.
So the only thing I'll say is it's great, and I'm so happy that we're doing this, and you guys have done a really great job. The one thing I'll say is that as far as the tasks go and who can sign for what, where it says enter into an agreement and contract with the DNR, I think that probably has to come back to the committee for review before it can just be signed and executed. When we're talking about contracts, that always makes me hesitate I want to lay eyes on that and not just have that signed.
Is that language, I guess
The question I would have then, it would be, what would come back would be a grant award, not a contract. And so it'd be, you're actually signing the grant award document.
Yeah,
It's a
I-
little different than a contract.
Well, I mean,
It
I'm
has,
just,
it has a similar effect, though.
It has a similar effect, but we might want to, do you want the language changed then is my question? Because it's not a contractual agreement, it's a grant award agreement.
well, the grant resolution that I'm looking at, the document that we have to fill out that they included in the packet, looks to be a standard document. And the standard document language is enter into an agreement contract with the DNR.
Right.
That I would not say that Mr. Lally should be signing independently without another, somebody else reviewing, potentially even legal. That would be the only thing I would be concerned about.
So we certainly could, I don't know that we'd have to change this, but we certainly, based on what you're saying, could bring back, the final document for PTED and county board approval. This is likely, so it's probably a few months off anyways on approval. And then the plans are to do this project next year. So there would be plenty of time to bring the documents back through the committee and through the county board.
Yeah, I no offense meant whatsoever,
Yeah.
but I just think when it comes to these contractual agreements, they can sometimes be a little more than you bargained for.
Right.
So I'd want to be hesitant.
All right, and I am more in line with what you're talking about, because you don't really enter into a contract when you get a grant from the state.
It does say
But
that
You
in
do,
there,
you,
though.
yeah.
I mean, but anyway, we don't need to worry about that until we actually know we are getting the grant. And then you can sign with it as you're the,
Well, the document that we're approving, I don't know if we're all looking at that document, has Mr. Lally down as the person who can sign that contract.
But I think that would be with approval, with required approvals. And I do think it is standard county practice. And at least I know, like, when we get this internet planning grant, I'm going to need to bring that back to the county board because there is a grant agreement contract
Okay,
that comes with
so-
that. So I think standard practice probably would be, we would get a grant notice, award notice from DNR, along with paperwork. Then we would schedule that for PTED and for county board.
Okay.
and the county board usually approve, because you have to add it to your budget. So it gets approved at county board meetings that we're gonna add $110,000 to the budget, and our matching funds will come from ARPA.
So it would come back something similar, Dawn. It would be, here's the contract, do we approve this? And then we've already, pending that approval, we could put it in that resolution too, to, authorize, Reed to, continue doing these things. It just, they need to know that somebody's going to be authorized. And the big bottom line is they want to know the county is authorizing us to apply for this grant.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if the terms, if we get the grant agreement and there's terms in there that we think are not reasonable, we have always had the option to turn down a grant or ask for changes to something.
Okay.
Yeah, we gotta wait till we see exactly what they're gonna ask. I mean, when you get the grants for the snowmobile trails, do you have a similar agreement? I mean, those are big grants.
This one, though, is asking for actual committee/county board approval
Okay,
to
okay.
accept it, whereas the other ones do not.
Okay.
I have signed the other ones in the past.
Okay. All right.
And then I'll note, and you didn't ask this, Dawn, but, the step after that then, of course, would be we'd have to develop an RFP for this project, put it out for bids, and because of the size of that project, it's all but certain that would come back for approval to actually do the work. So there's multiple review steps still in the process.
This is like the first baby step.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
It's a 50/50 grant. Dave?
Yep.
And so it's really design work is what we're contracting out for?
Reed could speak to that. I don't know that we're going to do any of this work in-house.
No, this would be various components of construction, design work,
So it's
plans.
it'd be 236K roughly?
That's what we're applying for the half of that, and then
Right.
that's kind of what we're anticipating, yeah, after
Okay.
doing some research, so,
For the pond,
yes.
complete?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Seems like not enough money is the
Not
only.
happening.
You know how that goes, Lori, you've been down there.
Exactly how
Yep.
it goes.
Well, let's start with step one here.
Yep, we'll see what happens.
This is a public safety
Still, no way.
Private or public, it don't matter.
I don't care if you're just gonna put fish in it.
What, do you have an idea of a ballpark of what that might cost us?
Yes, it's $500,000 every day, yeah,
What size park, or what size pond do you have?
1.5 acres. But an acre is gonna be that much now,
Well, we'll worry about that as we move on. Let's just
So,
get this
find some more
grant.
grants.
too. A lot more grass.
I've been asking for ARPA funds. We still have 1.2 million sitting that's not attached to anything, so.
And, you know, if we're unsuccessful this year, we actually still have a window next year to apply for the same grant.
Same grant.
And,
Maybe you can double up on it.
well, I don't know, possibly. I won't say absolutely that we couldn't apply for a second round if we were successful in the first, but,
Well, if it didn't cover the cost, I mean, that's what I think Laura's
Yeah,
getting at. that
right.
If it really is a $500,000, well, then let's
Right.
get done what we can get
Yeah,
done
yeah, you
on.
might, I mean, you might be surprised, but
yeah.
no, you won't be surprised either. For sure, you know, there's probably 57 ponds in Wisconsin, and I think there would be 100 if you could get it done for $250,000.
Okay, any other discussion on this before we vote? Okay, all those in favor of this resolution, say aye.
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 Oppose? Motion.
If I can just pass this down to Buzz, and then Buzz, if you could sign, pass it back to Lori, and then I'll work it around this way, and then I will forward the resolution on to Paul with the request that it be placed on the county board agenda for the May meeting.
And then if we have our basket ready, the meeting's on the 15th, so we could bring it to Lori. Are you gonna be in person on?
I will.
Okay, and then I'll bring my dog basket that
Okay.
night too, okay. Alrighty, let's see, I gotta make this bigger so I can see it. Parks, capital projects, prioritization, discussion, possible action, I believe this will go to Reed.
That's correct. I had to make it bigger too, I couldn't even see it.
I know, God.
Okay, last month, we started going through some of the timeframes on near the end of the master plan, and then the committee decided to, let's just, you know, simplify this and just create a capital projects, you know, prioritization document here. So we just put together, this is, you know, obviously real short, and it's not going to cover the day-to-day smaller projects going on at the park. But as you see in your packet, you know, number one was obviously the recreational pond, you know, leveraging the reserve dollars, grants, other private donations we're working on. And then that would be on the, you know, the newly donated land just south of the main entrance road there. And then interpretive signage, working on that right now. That'll probably actually finish before, obviously before any of these other ones, as it's been moving along quite quickly. And then obviously a main entrance sign, we've been discussing that. That's in the plan as well. Just, you know, something that's lit up at night, something that's bigger that people can see. You know, so many times people drive by it on 93 there, and you know, you just have the kind of the highway sign there. Would be something to have a little more attractive to bring people in and remember it. And then moving on, just a playground that can be, you know, we can put it in the same place as the current one. I guess location is kind of irrelevant, but obviously we need to upgrade the playground. And then the kayak canoe launch, we've been talking about that for a while. There's various other smaller grants we can apply for that. And then obviously the bridge across the river will be down the line. That's a major project. So that's kind of, these are the main big things I see at the park, that kind of what we discussed last time, just more in a clear and simplified document here, so.
That canoe and kayak is a big deal.
Yes, it is.
It's probably the number one amenity that is not available in Wisconsin, or as available as it can be. You have more people wanting to go do that kind of thing
For
than you
sure.
have setups for
Mhm.
it, so. that would be a good one to start with.
It'd be fun if the DNR would get as involved in kayaking and canoe as they do with snowmobile trails, get those setups. The waterways.
Waste Commission has access grants
Okay.
quarterly, so you can apply 4 times a year for those monies.
And maybe we should, be applying for those grants.
And they're always looking for, it's been focused usually on larger water bodies, but I would think that this would be, the whole canoe trail thing might be
Right.
something they might be interested in.
Right.
That would be a huge opportunity.
I mean, just driving, when I drive up north to Douglas County in the summer, there's cars with canoes and kayak. I mean, kayaking is big on the chain of lakes up there, and so we should get more invested in that.
In talking with DNR on the grant that we did just apply for, we we did note that, they have a trails program, trails grant allocation too, and did confirm with them that that could be used for water-based trails. That's
cool.
not something that it sounds like people have applied for under that program, but that's definitely an opportunity. And just to jump back to the other grant that we did apply for, in that rec pond, we did mention that, besides the opportunity for, swimming or just laying on the beach and stuff, that would also provide some opportunities for a safe place, instructional area for canoeing, kayaking, so people being able to, so some instructional programming is basically what I'm saying, consistent with the mission of the park.
I know that a few years ago we talked about doing a mini triathlon with bike, running, and canoeing, and those are very popular. I know that it's putting a lot on your plate, but just keep that in your back of your mind. That would be a fun thing to do this summer. And they're very well attended by people who want, and you can do short ones or long ones, or there was one I just saw, I think it was like 3 miles for each one, which isn't really, you can run 3 miles, bike 3 miles, canoe 3 miles.
Yeah, it's amazing how people are attracted to those types of events.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
End up at the park
There you go. Be great.
and have a s'mores and more party
Now
when
you're
they
talking.
get there. Oh, we need that park coordinator person next year, right? Okay.
Bob has a question?
Yes, one of the things that got brought up this spring was why the park wasn't open this winter. There's still a lot of people that like to go for a walk. We had it blocked off. But I mean, like in future years, maybe we should consider keeping the park open in the winter for your cross-country skiers and your people that want to take winter pictures and stuff like that.
Sure. We can leave it open year-round.
Yeah, even when it's closed, you could walk around, but there's no place to park.
That's the thing. A lot of people did call me and asked if they could just park on the highway and go in. Well, rather not park right on the highway, but they're more than welcome to.
Yeah, I've heard people talking about snowshoes.
Do you want to come up to the mic? You could always sit at the table.
I have heard people requesting the snowshoe there.
Yep.
Would it be advisable or an option to talk to the highway department to plow a certain little segment there so that there would be, I mean, it's not going to be like blacktop parking by any means, but just an area that they could park off the road in the winter. I think that's a great opportunity for us. They're going by with the plows anyway.
Yeah.
Take much just to go in there.
What?
I don't think you have to.
You might have, right, I don't know if you'd have to, but, if we were going to be encouraging people to come out there and recreate, then the question
you
is,
would have to
would we have to
have
put porta potties out
How
there?
much would that cost?
Okay. Yep, year-round?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's outside privy.
Okay.
There's a couple of them,
There is.
so you could go there anytime.
Never mind.
I do agree that having that open for winter sports is really a good idea. I don't know, is there something that we would need to do to talk to the highway committee about?
Well, I
that
can certainly do
opportunity?
that. I know in the past, people such as Bob has offered to, maintain some of the plowing.
Oh, okay.
Blocked it off and then just plowed the parking lot out, banked it up enough so that you didn't have your
Yeah.
people joyride through the park.
Yeah.
We
Right.
did a winter thing a couple years ago with hot chocolate, and it was in the morning.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And that was, I mean, it wasn't a million people there, but there were people that came
People showed
and
up, yeah.
enjoyed it.
Especially for a short notice event.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we'd need to have somebody working there all winter, but we would need to, I think you'd have to worry about, I don't even know if we have to worry about it. I can ask HR, but if you got hurt out there while you were snowshoeing, or, I mean, you have to do it at your own, you know.
You should have an inherent risk law in place, so you shouldn't have an issue with that. It's
I mean,
a
I
campground.
snowshoed up at the state park this summer, and they don't really, or this winter, and they did not have at Amnicon Falls, they didn't have a big, they just had a small path plowed through the road, and if somebody was coming, you'd have to back up, but it was all, you know, and there was never a park attendant there in the winter. The office was open, because you had to pay for.
And they have cameras out there anyway, don't you? Any concerns?
We do.
Where
we're
did we
installing
land with
another
the
one,
cameras?
so.
That's what's my next question. At the last committee meeting, we had talked about cameras. Did we?
They will be installed soon.
Do you want possible action on number 10? It was listed there.
I don't think there's any need for action, I don't believe.
Okay.
You just brought that up because we had a big discussion of
We had a
about what
discussion
was
and-
most important.
That's right, correct.
Yeah, last month.
I guess as long as there's an understanding, you know, from the committee, as long as we're on the same page that, hey, we're trying to get this rec pond and we're trying to prioritize our resources to that, you know, that helps gives us direction on how to proceed.
Right, there was some confusion, you know, in previous meetings about where we were gonna allocate funds, so.
Okay. Have you got any interns coming in this summer that will help with any of this stuff?
We do not.
Okay.
Bummer, how come?
They're hard to come by.
A number of things. Interns need supervision, also interns need a place to live.
Yes,
And
housing is a problem.
Housing's a
And they
problem
would be
for
Everyone.
full-time employees and even harder for interns. So it's one of those things that we just decided not to do this year.
So back to the prioritization, I really appreciate that. It's helpful for me. I just want to clarify, I mean, we are definitely putting our resources toward the recreational pond. I understand that. There are some limits, though. We need some grants and other things. So as we are, you know, as we are working through those issues, do I understand that the intent then is to continue to work strategically down this list for the rest of these things?
That is correct, but obviously a lot of it's gonna be contingent on the dollars for the pond. We're in kind of a crunch here with the time frame.
Gotcha, yeah.
So all of a sudden, if we can't, you know, complete this pond, we might need to change what we're doing in there.
When
On
does
that
that
property.
become, when does that become a do or die?
I'd guess if we don't have more direction on where we're going in funding, when are we gonna find out about some of that funding? Is it July, Dave?
Yeah, there's no exact timetable, but it sounded like the review process is a couple months, maybe 3. So I would guess by July 1 or thereabouts that we would hear on that LWCF grant.
And are you thinking of stages with that, where you would like possibly do, you know, do parts of it, like you just put the pond in the beginning?
That's correct. We're
Okay.
doing bare bones, you know, just
Yeah.
basically get the hole in the ground to start. It's, you know.
But even with this, I go back to the last meeting, and I think I understood that we had put out a request for bid on the work, and we didn't have any interest. So even if we get this grant, we don't know if we've got anyone to do the work still.
We've had 2 different firms contact us since.
Okay.
We didn't have enough, it's been so recent that we couldn't get it on the agenda. We're definitely planning on doing that for the next agenda.
Perfect.
And that would give us a good update and a good idea. And in the actual contract or the transfer of the land, it doesn't specify what type of development needs to be done there. So if, you know,
Something.
if we realize at some point this is unrealistic, we could switch gears and try to get something else going. Obviously, that's up to the committee to just, you know.
And there are a lot of ideas laid out
There's
in
tons
the
of
master
ideas.
plan.
That's
so
correct.
I'm not really, if we
Mhm.
don't have the pond, we have lots of other ideas.
That's right.
I mean, people wanted a dog park. They wanted that kind of like dodgeball game. I forget what it's called. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
there's-
that's easy to install.
There was more of like a nature type based playground, which would fit the park really well
Right.
as well.
I mean, there's a ton of things that
Mhm.
that we have in mind for that beautiful space. So, any other questions?
So to that end, well, is there a reason we can't like move forward with some of these smaller things, or
Oh
is
yes,
it
those
just?
wouldn't make this list because these are like big time, bigger expense capital stuff. That's minor things that we were going to actually build ourselves out there.
So we're building Gaga Ball this summer.
That's what we were planning on.
All right.
The one thing to keep in mind when we talk about capital projects, we're talking generally about projects that are $5,000 or more. So if stuff falls under there, we're at some point you just can't. You got to talk about the big dollar items. So.
Yep. Just as a thought though, when you're giving a park report, like if they're planning on doing some of those smaller things, I'd be sure interested to hear about it. I don't think you need approval. I'm not asking for that, but just to hear, hey, what we're going to do this summer for some of the smaller things would be X, Y, Z, because then we can help promote it too.
I can do that for sure. I didn't know how specific you guys wanted me to be during that report because I could go down to the details, but
Well, and I think
I don't want to waste time either for for the committee or anything getting too specific on.
And last year we kind of approved all of this stuff because
Correct.
we did approve the master plan, which incorporated a ton of stuff.
Right.
Sure.
So,
Thank you.
any other questions before we end this portion of the meeting and pack up and drive to the park and go past Bushy's and get coffee cake? Anything else? Okay. See you at the park.